But this is the first time, and I've seen this movie so many times, but to prepare for this episode and like taking my notes on the movie and watching it twice in 2 days, it's like I never had really thought deeply into the movie or like, what is this really about? What is really going on? And how do the stories like kind of echo each other? And I just saw it nonstop throughout the movie.
Right. You cracked the code.
And like Samuel L. Jackson's speech, the reason I think it ends the movie and him talking about trying to be the shepherd, trying to be your brother's keeper and escort him out of the tyranny of evil men. It's like, oh, that's literally what Butch just did in the earlier sequence with Marcellus. Yep. It's what John Travolta is doing with Uma Thurman.
And it's what Samuel Jackson is doing with
Tim Roth. Yeah.
With funny, chunky.
With Pumpkin and Honey Bunny.
Yeah,
you are looking at these people who you'd say like, these are bad people. They're doing bad things, but they're all like suffering moral dilemmas within the worlds that they live in. Because like John Travolta says, like, I can't have sex with Mia Wallace. This is a moral dilemma I'm in here. And it's like, well, you kill people. So like, but it's like, that feels like a more real moral dilemma to him. Yeah. Butch kills a man in the ring and then says, I don't feel bad about it at all. Yeah. But then he can't turn away from Marcellus, even though he literally goes from trying to kill him to then now I know what he's going through. I won't be able to live with myself if I let it happen to him.
That is because Butch thinks of the man in the ring as someone in his war. For Butch, that is his war. He was the one person in the generations of the watch that didn't get to fight for that watch. Yeah. And that is why he wakes up from that dream and decides to not throw the fight.
Yeah.
That is why.
Oh, shit. I hadn't even connected that.
Stick around, Isaiah. Jeez. It gets real crazy in here.
No, yeah, you have to go find your fight. Your fight. Because that's what a man is. A man fights.
He's on the battle. He's on opposing sides until he gets thrown in POW camp. That is that dungeon. And then all of a sudden he's on the same side as right. That's why it's all very art of war and all that stuff. Did you notice, though, that Marcellus Wallace is on the stakeout at Butch's apartment with Vince, that he goes to get donuts because he's bored? Oh, and I always thought it was weird that he runs into him. But because of the hubris of Butch, thinking he just got away with some shit, got his fucking watch, shot a man, he passes in front of his apartment for no reason. He was already 2 rows back. That was the smart move. But he decides, no, I'm above the law. Because he's in front of his own apartment and because Marcellus had the hubris to go take a little break on his stakeout, he isn't there for when Butch comes into the apartment. And then they meet in the street. And it's just, it's paths not taken and paths taken. And I'm just like, yes, this finally makes sense.
He just happened to go in at the right moment when John Travolta was taking a shit and then decided I'm going to stay and make Pop-Tarts, which he didn't have to do.
And that's why Marcellus did not need donuts. There was Pop-Tarts. Hubris.
That is a poor substitute for donuts.
Shut up. He's on a stakeout. You want them or not?
You got to,
Last time I
get yourself a little treat.
I noticed, I was like, every time John Travolta goes to take a shit, something bad happens.
Yes. Every time Uma goes and takes a shit, the food comes.
That's very true.
So, just saying.
So The Watch.
This is the best Christopher Walken because it's just walking enough. He's walking a fine line. You know what I'm saying?
I think this was Tarantino was like the beginning of people realizing, who's interesting is that Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
We'll just put him on screen and let him say weird shit.
Give him a strange hairline.
And he just lets him go. And it's like, I wanted to just transcribe the whole thing.
That tiki bar.
Give it a watch. Give it a watch. And how serious and sincere it is until he says, carried it, the only place that I wouldn't look for in his ass.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
But like Lacey says, Butch jerks awake from this memory, and it's like he is in a lineage of hard men who had to go off and fight their wars, but he doesn't have a war to fight in. It's the 90s. It's the end of history. He has to go and fight in the ring.
And it's like this suspended, Arrested Development, right? Like The Watch, he even keeps it on a fucking kangaroo. There's still that little boy Butch.
Yes.
He's frozen in time.
Well, he is presenting himself like to the cabbie. She's like, you killed the man in the ring. He's like, how do I feel about it? I don't feel a damn thing.
Esmeralda Villabolosa. La Belaveva.
Yeah, he's like, I don't feel bad at all that I killed a man. And he's like putting on a shell about how how badass a man he is.
That side penis, though, huh?
Oh yes.
When he's in the bathroom,
We'll talk about
get
it.
some side shaft. Okay.
Vincent goes to see Marcellus. At this point, Jules isn't with him because he has left the life at this point.
What's happening? What?
We just see, Butch did not take the dive like he said he would.
Yeah,
Instead, he won the fight, and Marcellus is fucking pissed. I think this might be the first time we actually see Ving Rhames' face in the movie.
Yeah.
And just, Ving Rhames, what a treasure.
Fucking treasure.
What presence he has.
Every line delivery, I'm like, what's he gonna say?
So Bruce Willis, Butch, goes back to his hotel room with his French girlfriend, Fabienne. And they too have a very sweet.
So sweet.
And just like tender relationship.
Don't say tender.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. They have it's nice. They're nice to each other.
Niceys. Mm-hmm.
And she says, I wish I had a pot. And then they debate the difference between a tummy and a pot belly.
Please stop.
It's all about these little distinctions, you see. But Lacey, I wanted to ask you, is this true about a pot belly?
No,
Are pot bellies sexy
no
on
one's
women?
ever. You know who has a pot belly and then nothing else out of place? Emaciated children who have not eaten in third world countries. There's no fucking such thing. She's probably seen a pregnant model and thought, oh, that's an option. That's an accessory. Pot. She's an idiot. She's an adorable, sexy idiot.
So,
fucking moron.
The more I hear people review this movie, the more they say that Fabienne, her story, they don't like, and they feel like it slows down the pacing. And I disagree, right? I disagree 100%. Like I like her
love
in this,
her.
and I feel like it really shows their relationship and shows like what he's fighting for, especially like knowing she's pregnant.
She's the
legacy he's fighting for.
See, I'm on the opposite end, and I don't think she has a story and not enough going on. So when we first saw this slide, I thought you named it "I Wish I Had a Plot." So I was chuckling to myself, like, "Oh, that's great."
She's the cat. You have to give the burly mean man the cat so that you know he's actually a nice sweetie. And because she's so polar different from him, it lets us know in a short period of time there's way more to Butch than we're seeing. We don't have time to tell you. But if this is what he's drawn to, then there's something in there worth saving. We have to root for him. And so if not him, her.
She has, and I'm never one to say like everybody has to serve a purpose in a movie. I don't believe that at all. Like I think there's texture, there's things that are just in there to enrich the experience of watching the movie. But I think that is exactly what you said. She is there for us to understand who he really is.
And we need this respite. We need him so relieved. He just got away with this shit. He had a great plan. He had everything lined up. You're in an obscure hotel room at the end. That even being on the end of the hotel room wasn't on purpose. And she fucks it up. Like we have to see how much he got away with it for us to also be like, no, fat bottom, you stupid bitch. God damn it.
But and that he has to throw it all potentially away because he just needs to get the watch.
It's like, just get over the fucking watch.
Instead of giving him.
Right. You have value. You don't need the watch to show you your value. He can't get over his.
Men will go get murdered for their watches rather than go to therapy.
Yeah, because like the watch, I think it represents like good luck in this movie. Especially like knowing what Christopher Walken said about it, like, your father survived with this during World War I or whatever. And just knowing that he like went back and was able to catch Vince in that situation, getting the watch, was lucky. And then even
it might literally be good luck.
Like with him and Marcellus,
it was created by a leprechaun.
Marcellus, like that's good luck they got out of that, right? So yeah, I just think it's good luck.
Yeah, he did have it on him.
She says, "Will you give me oral pleasure?"
Shut up, Matt.
She asks.
God, Jesus.
But
it's going to be in my nightmares.
He was going to anyway. That's my only point.
No, he wasn't. He asked her to kiss it. What grown-ass man that wants his penis sucked says, will you kiss it?
Yeah, he has a little bit of growing to do.
Boy.
He needs to go to therapy.
Will you give it a hug and go honk honk?
Yeah, he has his kangaroo.
So this is we've kind of been talking about this scene a bunch because it's such a you do not think Butch is going to get away with this, but he walks all careful and gets in but then once you're in an apartment, there's no back door to your apartment. You still got to go in the front way. So
I know. Your
creative little entry point was still.
He just went through somebody's backyard, but still went to the front of the apartment.
How else?
Because there's nothing else to do.
It's an apartment. So, and it just everything that needed to happen. He's not even being quiet. There's a giant freaking Uzi on your, I don't know gun names, on your sink, and you see the Pop-Tart first. So, and he nothing but luck. And then he could have just kept going, and instead needs to feel real cool about himself in that Honda, and goes in front of his apartment complex to catch Marcellus Wallace with the most delicious donuts that no one has ever.
It is really a tragedy that he doesn't get to eat this delicious box of donuts. But I do.
What the heart? Right, that's my donut.
I do want to point one thing about his apartment, and I love that he shoots. Well, so Vincent comes out of the bathroom. They look at each other.
I can smell the shit.
Well, they just, the way he looks, like he knows it's over. He's fucked. Yeah. But he still kind of has that like detached. Yeah. I'm not really here.
He's on a lot of heroin. Yeah.
And Butch shoots him, and then smoke from the gun causes the smoke alarm to go off. I feel like this is something you never see in movies. No, it's just the little after effects.
Okay, it's just odd. I've never bought it. I thought it was the toaster.
No, it's because there's a ton of gun coming. There's a ton of smoke coming from the gun, and I don't know. I feel like lots of places we've lived, we've had smoke detectors that go off every time we cook something.
Yeah,
so
they go off for
they probably would.
They go off for a lot less. Yeah,
very realistic.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
just a nice little observational detail.
Is it?
No, it's not actually.
Move on. Right.
So Lacey pointed out he's literally there because he was probably on the stakeout with
because it's so personal. This is the big you got to think Marcellus has his hands in a million things. He's so small potatoes that this one fight throwing was like a really big deal to him. You know, he's got tons of money, but maybe you don't have to do that many crimes to make lots and lots of money. That you can't really tell the scale. His people he seems to have a smaller crowd than what he gives off. But he is larger than life, and into the people he employs, he is the biggest thing ever.
I think that is kind of the crime of this world. Is it's still kind of low rent. It's kind of like on The Sopranos, like Tony Soprano, the king of this mob world. He lives in a neighborhood where his next door neighbor is a dentist. Right. It's like this. Okay, yes, like you're like you did all this to live a middle class life.
It's all still a day job. I feel like nothing like joining TikTok let me know there is no free lunch. Like, I don't know why I thought I was entertaining. I'm going to get on TikTok. Everyone's going to discover me. It's like, it is more work than my actual fucking job. So it's it's all, you're going to pick a 9 to 5. Some of it's going to be legal. Some of it's not. Anyway, so how lucky for him to have this opportunity to run him over with the car and then immediately squander it by getting T-boned. And Quentin Tarantino's love of like late 80s, early 90s random fucking Comedy Central comedians. So, you've got fucking Kathy Griffith, just random person who discovers the wreck. And then you've got what's her nose, who is the car compactor daughter. She's also a comedian from like that same era. Anyway, super interesting. I know. Whatever. There's a car wreck. No one gets away with anything.
It's just bad luck. Just he runs him over, then gets hit by a car, and then they get chased down and end up in
Oh my God. It's another good luck through bad luck situation. You don't think of me as ODing as being good luck, but it is. It is the best thing that could have happened to both of them. Then you don't think of this as being good luck to Butch, but Butch gets to be completely not looking over his shoulder the rest of his life. You have to go through the hard road to get to the actual redemption. Yeah. I'm so smart. Okay.
But he's cleared his name with Marcellus. The way that they stumble into this pawn shop, and the way that whoever this guy is who plays Maynard, the pawn shop guy,
it's perfect.
This seems initially, when you cut to him, like this is just the funny reaction shot of the movie because he's just like listening to music. As like the action of the movie stumbles in. But it's funny. It's like they're in their own movie that stumbles into a totally different movie, which is this pawn shop that is basically a portal to hell. Yes. Like you have no idea how dark it is about to get. And he almost seems like he's an extra. And then he's like, I'm not a fucking extra. I'm about to take over everything. In fact, I'm going to call in more evil people than me to go take over everything.
That's such a good point. It's like you only know the evil you're around, and you think you're enemies until you realize there's a whole depraved section you didn't even know existed, and you're actually have way more in common with you who you thought was your enemy than you ever.
Yeah,
We all just have things in common.
Watching that scene again recently, like Matt, you nailed it on the head with just like the levels of just how deep this thing just starts to get bad. Because I'm watching and I'm noticing the big Confederate flag at the front door, and I'm
immediately.
like, and of course he goes, "Get your foot off the nigger there," and I'm like, "Oh shoot!" Like, so it's racist. But then all of a sudden the cop shows up, and I'm like, "Okay, so now it's racist."
And he's got mascara on.
Then he says, "Well, go get the gimp," and I'm like, "Wait, what? Like,
what's a gimp?"
I know.
I learned what a gimp is.
Yeah, it's like he pulls the gun on them, and you're like, great, he's gonna rob me or something, or I don't know, wait for the cops to arrive. Like, no, you have no idea how bad this is going to get.
I will never sexually use a ball gag because of this movie. I just want you guys to know that. And
it's true.
I have such a fear of not being able to breathe through my nose because I broke my nose when I was younger. Yeah. So I know both of those men have a broken nose right now, and they're ball gagged.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, they're gonna die. And then I'm like, wait, they're gonna die anyway. But they're gonna die.
And I have TMJ and can't open my mouth that wide.
Oh, he'll get it open. Jed will get it open good. Yeah.
So this is when they bring out, so Zed comes in. Zed, who is he's not actually a cop. He's like a small security guy. He's like a security
I never noticed
forces.
No, I didn't even notice that either. I definitely thought he was cop.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And then like bring out the gimp. The gimp sleeps in a blocked chest. In my memory, the gimp always does something, but he doesn't actually do anything. He's just...
He's a limp gimp.
You will remember the gimp actually doing the attacks.
No, because no. What you remember is that he damages your brain for the rest of your life. You go from knowing about no gimps to knowing that there are gimps. It's
now
a psychological.
I have to live in a world where I know this.
And they sleep in a box. They can't stretch out their legs. They're in leather. What if they got a pee poo poo? And Maynard cares about the gimp's sleep schedule, but Zed do not.
This scene messed me up when I first. I was like, what?
All for the glimpse, though. The glimpse that Marcellus and Butch give each other while they're gagged. And I'm like, my heart, oh, let's marry these boys. I love it so. They're just like, what is this?
But yeah, it is that human connection. And Bruce Willis is able to escape and then hears Marcellus. And he's realized, like, I literally just tried to kill him. He wants to kill me. But I know I'm literally not going to be able to live the rest of my life if I leave right now, knowing that I left him here. And
that those two men still are alive.
Right. That's the other thing is like they take out these super predators.
Yeah.
You saw the blood all over the downstairs guys. You noticed just the hand streaks. And I never really paid attention to that room before, but every room you're in down there's blood everywhere. Yeah. It's like how many flies have gone trapped here.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't notice that. However, I always thought it was weird because they were like, when they're first taken down there, I think Maynard says to them, "Ain't nobody killing anybody in my shop unless it's me or Zed." And I was like,
"Yeah."
And I kept thinking to myself, like, when have they killed more people? What?
Is there a deep freeze? Yeah. Where are we putting them?
How do they determine who they're going to do this to? What if you just want to buy a guitar?
Yeah. Do they fuck them until they're powder? What? Do they fuck them until they're mush? I don't understand. Also, how long you gotta fuck? He is pounding that man for so long.
Okay, I'm glad somebody else brought that up too, because I'm like, he goes upstairs and has a whole moral dilemma while you can hear all this, and then decides to go. Also goes through like the video game choosing of a weapon situation before going to help him, and I'm like, all you can hear in the background is
what we're saying is we're praising Zed's virility.
It doesn't make sense. They were so excited to have a spider. He would have blown it immediately. This is just insane.
But yeah, this is like Bruce Willis here is living. Try to say character names and not actor names. I'm doing a bad job. Butch is living. Jules's Bible verses. I'm literally in the realm of evil men right here. I have to go be the shepherd I have to be my brother's keeper. I have to go help lead this guy out of the realm of evil men. And he does with the sword. And he's like, you okay? What happens now? What happens now between you and me?
You okay? Like, I know, it was their first time having sex. It's so sweet.
Okay, yeah, I think I am a Butch and Marcellus shipper now.
Ship that shit. And look, they're almost the same height as each other. Oh, that's so cute.
And so he goes back to Fabienne, and I love that he's being so aggro and confusing, she just starts crying.
Yeah.
Which is the natural response.
Yes. You're being real mean.
And you have a giant motorcycle. What the fuck is happening? Also, this all happens in less than 2 hours.
That's insane.
Which stresses me
You would have
out.
never made your flight.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I know.
Not at all.
And, she's like, I started to think dreadful thoughts. And he's so nice to her.
Come here, pudding pop, sugar pop.
But that's it. That's the end of that. That's the end of their story.
All right.